I wanted to introduce our speakers this morning. Trustees ask them, once you decide you need more out of life, where do you start to look? How do you search? What clues do you have? And once you find it, how do you know it's the real thing? Susan Hughes, Kevin Pammett, Susan Randazzo, and George Downey will offer their answers.
Thanks, Susan. That's a great act to follow. Good morning. I'm Kevin Pammett. It's weird up here. Wow. Kind of neat. To me, happiness is all about perspective on life. When I look at what I've done to be happy, the thing that keeps coming to my mind is appreciating. When I was a kid, I'd go next door, the old lady there would give me a cookie. And I found that if I said thank you and really enjoyed it and told her how much I enjoyed it, the next time I go, she'd give me another cookie. And it wasn't just about getting cookies. She was happy that she could make me happy. And I was happy making her happy. And that's a pattern that I've followed for my entire life. I could talk for a very long time about all the things that I appreciate. But it's always the same pattern. Look for the best. One of the unusual things that I appreciate is the failure, or not achieving what I wanted, when things go wrong. And yeah, it's hard. It hurts. I could talk a lot about that too. I've made a lot of failures and had a lot of non-successes in my life. But where I go when that happens is to look for what I can get out of it. What can I learn? How can I do better the next time? And it works. For one, I'm not stuck in the failure. And for another, it really does work to learn what your mistakes are and to not do it the next time. On a more maybe mundane level, what I do in my life is to be present. When I'm talking to someone, I'm present. When I'm just doing whatever, even if it's a boring thing, I'm present. When I go for a walk in the woods, everything that's way out there is just long gone, and I'm listening to the birds and being present. Another thing that I do that brings me a tremendous amount of joy is to sing. I've studied music when I was a kid. I am a mathematician. I know about music, done a little bit of composition, and I sing all the time. In various jobs, people have called me Hummer. Sometimes that and a lot of the things that I do are annoying to people. And is communicating with people. I've traveled a lot in my life. I've lived in 6 countries. I speak 3 languages. It's all about people. I don't really care about going to Mexico. I care about who are the people that live there. What's their view of life? They're interested in me. I can talk about my life and what it's like, what my thing is like. And that's very meaningful to me, to have that kind of interaction. That's why Lynn and I went to live in France. And that's actually why I came to this church. I wanted to find a place where there was a community, where there was people that I could interact with, where there was a common belief system. I was so surprised and so happy when I got here 2 years ago and found out I don't have to overlook the parts that I didn't really believe. Maybe that's not a good way to say it. It's very refreshing. I love being in this church, and I love being part of it. Another part of what I've done in my life is to be prepared. I went to school for a long time. I have 2 degrees. That's all about getting the tools that I need to do my work so that I can enjoy my job, to provide for my family. Finding the love of my life, whom is Lynn, you all know, I'm sure. We were together for 10 years before we had kids because we just had a great time. And then we decided, yeah, maybe we'd like to have kids. So now, of course, for the last 2 decades, my girls have been the pride and joy of my life. More recently, in the last couple of years, I've done a lot of transformational stuff. You know, you go to these weekends and you do stuff. And a lot of that is looking back at what works and what doesn't. And one of the things that, a common thread in all of that is, what is your life's purpose? And my initial answers to those questions were, oh, well, I need to bring up my kids, or I need to get my kids through college. And then trainers ask questions like, well, what happens when your kids grow up? What happens when they're off on their own? And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that my life purpose is actually much simpler. My life purpose is bringing joy to all of the people that I encounter. That gives me joy, it gives them joy, it makes the world a better place. And so my real answer to what is the pursuit of happiness, it's to live your life from purpose. To understand what you're about, to do stuff, to do everything that you do is living for that purpose and not going down the path of things that don't contribute to that. I forgot to start my stopwatch, so I don't know if I've talked for 5 minutes. I think I've said enough.